All right, I am going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I just want to note that Dr. Carmen Gonzalez and Board Secretary, Secretary Carmen Gonzalez and Board Member Sarah Bose are both not feeling well and so won't be joining us, but we do have a quorum tonight. And so with that, let's go into the Pledge of Allegiance and salute to the New Mexico flag. We'll continue with our acknowledgement of tribal land. Excellent. So we will move to our approval of the agenda. Superintendent, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes this evening to the agenda, Board President Anderson.
Wonderful. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, excellent. Now, is there a motion to move into executive session?
Madam President, I would move that the board goes into executive session to discuss item A1 on the agenda. It's under discussion of the purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property. 1, the Sweeney property easement with Public Service Company of New Mexico.
I'll second.
Excellent, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we will move into executive session.
Kathy was on deck. She was like, huh, technology gurus in the office. We can handle some pressure. Yeah. Gonna be sending me some emojis today.
She wasn't in Mary's office. She might come out. create them first and then call.
They're talking guns. One 14-day waiting period. And it's money. Part of my book. I'm off to Michigan. And tomorrow is my last day. Okay. Last day for. Last day at KSMR. Yes, today was my last day at the session. Next week. Ypsilanti, WENU, which is actually where, yeah, Jim Harbaugh lives. As soon as I had to do that. Let's see how long. Forget the Chargers, you know, that I'm like, they haven't been that good for a while. Years of mediocrity. He actually had a coach. College players. Coaches said, I can do this, then you realize, you're not dealing with kids, you're dealing with that. They're not like coaches. Jim Harbaugh. Oh, yes. He was that guy going, you know, I got a funny school that isn't consultant. Just because he doesn't seem to. He's supposed to be, Peyton Manning at first round, he goes, I'm going to Indianapolis. He says, I'm going to Vegas. Okay. Big. So, he was a kid though. Yeah. So, he didn't have any views.
You probably text the ones they don't have. Yeah, text the photos. What's your name? Monday. It's rationale. Shovel ready was asking my question to them when they go. What is the cash flow? And then the cash will flow. I haven't heard a shovel ready phrase for that, so I'd have to ask. So I guess that would be right. But you're not, I mean, it's not $26 million cash out. You might be right. Talk to him. What's your deadline? Now? Yeah, that's my preference as well. We can email you a treasure list. Rationale for the numbers. My curiosity is what's been built on the last sale. What was last year? We anticipate billing on that. If you're closing out Eco and high soon. Oh, Ortiz is about to send, Ortiz is going under contract this month. And that's like a good one, that's why. Okay, well. Did you send me that?
I just say, like, we're back in.
Yeah, I'll make a, yeah, and then I'll make a motion.
What? Last day. Tomorrow? Where are you going?
Michigan.
What? Where in Michigan?
These two know, but
Where in Michigan are you?
Ypsilanti, Michigan, Eastern Michigan.
Yeah. Okay, we are back from executive session. Is there a motion sorry?
Yeah, President Anderson, I'd move that we come out of executive session where the matters discussed were limited only to those items specified in the motion that took us into executive session and no action was taken.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. And now we will move to introduction of the interpreter.
Para asistencia de traducción en español, el señor Huerta te ayudará. Gracias.
Thank you so much. And now it is time for our school showcase. Superintendent?
Thank you, Board President Anderson, members of the committee, or board committee, and those in the audience. Our first one is El Dorado Community School. Mr. Carl Morano, would you like to introduce us to El Dorado and the students who are present?
Superintendent Chavez, Board President Anderson, members of the board, gives me great pleasure to introduce our directing principal at El Dorado Community School, Mr. John Seiss. I believe Assistant Principal Roxanne Starcher is here as well. Did they decide to skip out? All right, thank you. All right, they just wanted a big round of applause, I guess. So no, I'm just kidding.
Safety and security called me back, so I had to go. But my name is John Seiss, and I have my wonderful assistant, Miss Starr, with me, and we're lucky enough to work at El Dorado Community School. We have been doing a great project on Egyptians, and we wanted to share it with you. And I know I'm fun to make fun of and do that, but I think you would rather hear from the students and our teacher. We've got a great video for you guys to see first. So if we could show that, and then I'm going to pass the mic that way.
Welcome to El Dorado Community School and our Ancient Egypt Wax Museum. Each year, our 6th grade students enjoy learning about ancient Egypt and its peoples. Students research not only the big names such as Nefertiti and King Tut, but also those individuals that had an impact on society with their contribution, such as a builder, architect, mathematician, astronomer, and mummifier. After their research, students design their costume, write their speech, and create a power button that is pushed by attendees to make the character come to life. In partnership with our digital learning coach, students are offered the opportunity to explore digital tools such as WeVideo, Makey, and Scratch Junior to share their ancient Egyptian story. Students from all grade levels visit the Wax Museum in our school library as they learn about the wonders of ancient Egypt.
And now I would like to introduce our wonderful teacher, Miss Navrat.
Thank you, John. We have a lot of students here, a couple that will also speak. I wanted to explain that it is already a multi-generational project because it's been happening for about 23 years at the school. We have a student whose mother participated back in the day. This format has changed over the years, including more technology recently. I've asked the students to kind of express what they felt was challenging and then exciting about the project. So if we could have our speakers and the supporters, come on down, that would be great. Student supporters, 6th grade. There we go. Yep. That's all right. Thank you. We have Catherine's in costume. The students, yeah, the students have homemade costumes and sometimes just props. And we have kind of a gallery of different headdresses as well that in the classroom. And we brought one example here. And Brooke, do you mind starting? Okay, go ahead.
Sure.
You could-
It was fun because we were able to dress up and we were able to like use every part of our imagination and combine it all into one big costume, and it was a lot of fun seeing the little kids come up and hear about what ancient Egyptians were like. Okay, I'm done.
Hi. Okay, so it was really difficult because I would think that we would have older kids. So when I wrote my speech, I used grammar and words that I would think older kids would have understood. But we got first graders and second graders, so I had to modify my speech a little bit or a lot. And it was really fun because I got to do creative writing and I got to pick a tone and like if it was a formal way of writing my speech.
Well, I was a chef because I like food, and it was really fun because we got to see all the kids like come up and just make us come to life, and like, yeah. I'm trying to remember what I was going to say.
So what did you like about it, or what did you find challenging?
I liked that we weren't just like reading and doing worksheets and not fun stuff, and that we got to like do a whole big project that was more fun than worksheets. Well, it was a lot of work, but it was fun because I liked how we got to like present like to the whole school, and then like other people could see what we did.
Thank you. I just wanted to share the wonderful things that we're doing, and next year come on by and see what we're doing. So thank you.
Before everybody goes, if I may, can I just ask for another round from the kids? Can we hear your names and grades? If you all come back once more. Sorry.
My name is Catherine, and I'm in 6th grade.
My name is Marcus, and I'm in 6th grade too.
My name is Sasha. I think we're all in 6th grade.
My name is Brooke, and I'm in 6th grade.
My name's Asundia, but people call me Sunny, and I'm also in 6th grade.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Sasha, great name. Love that. I know Sasha, so I can say that. Excellent. So now we move to Sweeney, Superintendent.
Thank you, Board President Anderson. Yes, Kearney. Making the introductions today will be our Fine Arts Coordinator, District Fine Arts Coordinator, Ms. Christina Gonzalez.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez, tonight we have a wonderful presentation from our Kearney Elementary Art Program. And I wonder if we can go full screen. There we go. So Ms. Carissa Otero, she's a 26-year educator. She's been with Santa Fe Public Schools for 3 years. She comes from a family of artists. Her father was a santero. And I think you'll see and hear in Ms. Otero's presentation that she is the heart and soul of Kearney Elementary.
Good evening, and forgive me, I have to put my readers on to be able to see. Thank you for this opportunity to present. So, as Christina said, I have been an educator for 26 years ish, including student teaching. I was also a gen ed teacher. I taught second grade, third grade, and fourth grade for many years, and then I transitioned into the art classroom several years ago. As a regular general ed teacher, I integrated subjects. I would integrate art versus the reverse. So old habits die hard. I still feel like it's a need to cross content areas. In my art room, I want it to be very homey and inviting. So here you see a chair that I actually painted several years ago. I saved it from the dumpster and painted Van Gogh. So you see lots of literature that I integrate. I also have lots of free choice for the kids when they're done, because there's lots of fast finishers. Not everyone finishes a project at the same time. And unfortunately with COVID, a lot of kids didn't learn how to play. And I think it's essential in their learning. So I have modeling clay as an option. They have how to draw books. Also play makes it able where they can have conversations and learn to problem solve without always the adults intervening. In my room, I have high expectations. I have a mantra, which I picked up from the Art of Ed, and it's today and every day. And the kids, if I have to revisit those expectations, they walk into the art room, they find their seat, they have a quiet mouth, and I have the art displayed by grade level. I try to not repeat art projects. So as an artist and teacher, I get bored if I teach the same thing over and over to particular grade levels. So I try to mix it up. So the kids come in and they know the expectation of what to look at when they come into the classroom. Integrating literature, I think, is essential. So many kids aren't being read to enough. So I feel like I have to fill gaps at times, which I don't mind. I actually miss teaching literature. This particular lesson is the color monster. So it also integrates social emotional learning. So the monster, if he's green, he's calm. If he's blue, he's sad. If it's red, he's angry. So kindergarten, you could see one of the examples up there. One of them decided that they were calm. These are more examples of literature, lines that wiggle. This is one night geared towards kindergarten to teach them how to properly hold a brush. Math, there's the greedy triangle, so I'm integrating math as well. You can see other examples of literature, Van Gogh, and then there's a sunflower at the bottom. Integrating science. I really miss teaching science. So as much as I can, I also use a website called Mystery Science, which I'll show a video, and it makes it more meaningful to them. This particular lesson, the kids painted the background of their honeycomb and then made a realistic honeybee. Moving here to Santa Fe, not that I don't love my community, but we didn't have a lot of opportunity for art and display. So I entered these two projects into the Recycle Santa Fe Art Fair. They used egg cartons, CDs, since we don't use CDs anymore. So if you have extra CDs, I will take them. So this lesson was collaboration. We also talked about reusing supplies, using as much recycled art as I can instead of being wasteful. Integrating art and culture. This comes natural to me. My dad is a santero. I'm trying to be a santera. So I also integrate culture as far as like pottery, micaceous clay pottery. We've done some embossed metal, things of that nature. And the highlight of teaching is students. I brought two wonderful students. I'm trying to make relationships with kids here. My old school, I had kids of kids already. So here, it's been really nice to meet two wonderful future leaders and fantastic artists. So first, I'm going to have Emery speak, and this is her artwork that you see displayed.
Hello, my name is Emery Quintero, and the one thing that I love about art is because it makes me calm, and every time I feel like stressed or like when I don't feel like myself, I want to like draw. And shading means a lot to me because it makes it look realistic, and it usually takes me around like 4 to 5 hours just to do shading, and that piece right here took me around probably 2 days or maybe 3. So yeah.
And next is Camila.
My name is Camila, and I'm in 6th grade. When we do our projects in the room, I try to go out of my way to make it more intricate or more detailed. And instead of just using one color for the shirt, I decided to use more multicolors and to change it up a bit. For the background, I also used 2 colors instead of 1 to make it more intricate and more interesting. One thing about me, one thing that I really like about art is that you can express yourself in so many different ways that there's no end possibilities. And art, it's the same thing with Emery, I like expressing myself with my art, and depends on the mood I am or depends on how I'm feeling that day, I try to make art based on that.
I got choked up. Also, I'd like to invite the board members. I will send you an invitation to come to our art showcase at the end of the school year. I like to wait till the end because I like to pick through the best of the best and display that. But I extend an invitation, and I'll also send a physical invitation to you. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Otero. That was so moving. So cool to see all of the different disciplines integrated. And I just want to also acknowledge Mr. Davis, Mr. Jonathan Davis, who is here. Thank you for fostering this environment so that this can flourish. That was so moving. And thank you to our students for being here. That's always the best part of the school showcases. Anyone else have anything? Okay, wonderful. So now, Superintendent, okay, great. So now we will move into public forum. Superintendent?
Thank you, Board President Anderson. With us tonight is Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Carl Morano, taking us through public forum. Mr. Morano.
Superintendent Chavez, Board President Anderson, members of the board, and those in attendance, just to go over the public forum ground rules this evening. Public forum includes online and/or virtual participation as needed, as well as in-person comments. Please listen and speak with respect. No uncivil conduct will be permitted. Please do not discuss any specific student who is not your own. No sharing of time. Self-monitor and observe the 3-minute time limit. I will give you a 30-second warning when your time is almost up. Public commentary and dialogue are allowed only during the public forum, not throughout the meeting. Please search for answers on common ground. You may speak on any topic, whether it is on the agenda or not. Your input will be taken into consideration. Please be advised that the board may discuss your issue during the meeting, but by law, the board cannot take action on items that are not on the agenda. Please do not discuss employee matters which may result in disciplinary action. Instead, notify the employee supervisor, the Human Resources Department, or the superintendent. And we'll start off tonight with those who are in person, who have signed up for public forum. Right now we have 8 people signed up, and we'll start with Alette Hansen. you want to come up?
Okay. And will we put it here so I can self-monitor? Thank you. I appreciate it. Hello. My name is Alette Hahn Hansen, and I am a junior at Santa Fe High School. And I am an active member in my community. Standards-based grading continues to be a prevalent issue at Santa Fe High. But I understand that you are open to fixing it. Here are your next steps. First of all, you need to let teachers, parents, and especially students know that you are working towards a solution. Then, you have to work with students and teachers from a variety of programs, AP, arts, special education, to create an agreeable system. You need to make sure it's 100% compatible with PowerSchool. If this is not done by the start of next school year, you need to go back to the old system, because we cannot have another semester of this phony baloney. But for right now, I need you to lend an ear to those who have been affected by your choices. I appreciate you becoming more open to feedback and attempting to improve the system. I look forward to seeing improvement. Thank you.
All right. Next up, Joel Berenza.
Superintendent Chavez, Madam President, members of the school board. My name is Joel Berenson. I'm parent of a junior at Santa Fe High School, and I want to talk about standards-based grading. Until David Vincent quit suddenly as principal of Santa Fe High, I believed the district might be able to fix the problems associated with the rollout of standards-based grading, or SBG. Those problems, from my point of view, include worsening student mental health, poor alignment of standards with the outside world, such as AP tests, and the way that the narrow standards are sucking the fun out of teaching and learning. But Mr. Vincent's departure exposes a bigger problem to me, a district culture that uses fear to get compliance. How is it communication when you avoid telling parents that their child's principal has left? How is it transparency when teachers act like they're in a hostage video when we talk with them? How is it accountability if you don't foster discussion after a sweeping change like this? The board has responsibility of setting educational policy. It is not an implementation detail that SBG is causing kids to ask their parents to find them another school, or that SBG is causing teachers to think of quitting like Mr. Vincent did. I ask you two things. Please notify parents that Mr. Vincent has left. It only takes an email. It's been 3 weeks. It hasn't gone up. Second, I ask that you schedule a public forum or forums with all stakeholders to discuss SBG. Thank you for your time.
Next up, Miguel Acosta.
Madam President, members of the board, superintendent, staff, and público. Here to support the resolution that you'll be considering later about bilingual education. Wanted to add a little bit from our parents. Most of them were not able to get here. Weather and timing, created some difficulties. So I wanted to share everything that they had come up with. And also a bit of history too, because New Mexico was one of the places where bilingual education was first developed, right? And it was developed not only as a way of compensatory education for non-English speakers, but it was primarily an anti-imperial project, right, for New Mexico to maintain and support Hispano culture traditions, music, etc. And New Mexican educators went out across the country actually in helping other places develop these kinds of programs. And it's kind of sad that in New Mexico, we don't have the same level of commitment and support and investment that we see in other places around the country. So it's really good and that you all are doing this. And we have some ideas about what it means to support bilingual education, emergent bilinguals, and the families, right? So supporting bilingual education in the families means properly identifying all students that can benefit from it and eliminating all the barriers to enrollment and full participation, including incorrect information from staff and resistance from staff and administrators. It means fully staffing positions with certified educators who share students' lived experience and cultural backgrounds. We need Native American, Mexican, Hispano, and Central American educators working with our students. It means supporting bicultural education, providing a curriculum that reflects student, family, and community histories, cultures, contexts, and traditions. It means having schools that support and engage families in leadership development and decision-making around curriculum, budget, programming, staffing, and connecting to community projects, campaigns, and experiences. It also means that arts and crafts, specials, extracurriculars, after-school activities, clubs, and such, and reflect the cultures of the families that these children come from. It means fully staffing and funding the office that supports, trains, and organizes and resources bilingual educators and programs. It means fully implementing bilingual CO from pre-K to 12th grade at all schools and working with the city, county, and private industry to give a hiring preferences for graduates with the bilingual seal. It means opening up buildings and facilities on weekends and evenings, right? So that communities can use them so that we can have soccer and other sports, civic engagement activities, etc. It means including providing certified interpreters for all meetings and translation of all documents. It means conceptualizing curricula and programming policies and standards in languages and Can I finish? I just got a couple more. In languages and worldviews of the students, their families, and their communities. It does not simply mean translating things created for Anglo students for Spanish speakers or other populations. It means training and paying families and others from the students' communities as tutors, literacy coaches, EAs, and teachers, and other staff for local schools. It means staff and others that possess and utilize their bilingual, bicultural skills should be compensated, paid extra for using those skills. And there should be support for certifying them and training them. It means PTOs, school advisory councils, community school councils should operate bilingually, should be staffed and provided with interpreters, meet at appropriate times, and provide training and capacity building in order to be inclusive of local families and community members. Leadership and decision-making on budgets and programming should be shared. The district and its schools engage in it means that the district and its schools engage in honest and open dialogue about challenges, opportunities, in the context of our lives. We're still waiting, for example, for Cesar Chavez and Ortiz School to invite families and community in to have conversations about protecting our children from potential harm from child porn and other dangers. That hasn't happened, right? We have not been involved in conversations about potential school closures, staffing shortages, inappropriate long-term subs, facilities use, maintenance, master plan, chronic absences, student wellness, etc. Those conversations are not happening community-wide. We're not engaging with the population that the school district is serving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Rosario Torres.
Buenas tardes, soy Rosario Torres, soy bilingüe, bicultural. Mi primer idioma es el español, and I also speak English. I am here in support of the Renaissance Reimagining Bilingual Education, and I have great hope. For Cesar Chavez, we've been, and all schools, not just Cesar Chavez, but all schools in the district, we have really been working for many years to try to make that school what it was once upon a time. People would come and visit from other countries and from other parts of the U.S., and they really would admire what we were achieving in the dual language programs. But we're not there anymore. So I really hope that with this initiative, this resolution, we really get there faster than not, porque sí se puede. Gracias.
Next, we have Miriam Levano.
Buenas tardes, representantes de la mesa directiva y superintendente Chávez. Mi nombre es Miriam Luébano y soy parte de ERGER, Poder Familiar. Madre de 3 hijos que asisten a la Escuela Pública del Camino Real Academy y miembro de la comunidad del Lado Sur. Para mí la educación bilingüe es de suma importancia, ya que es el idioma materno de mis hijos y el idioma que mi familia habla y que se habla en casa. Por lo cual, hablarlo correctamente es muy importante, ya que el aprendizaje de nuestros niños al hablar más de un idioma sin ningún problema y con fluidez es importante, como también poder comunicarse libremente en 2 idiomas y tener el beneficio de tener mejores oportunidades en el transcurso de su vida, así sea académicamente o profesional. Apoyo la educación bicultural y proporcionar un plan de estudio que refleje las historias, cultura, contextos y tradiciones de los estudiantes, las familias y la comunidad. Así que al implementar completamente el sello bilingüe desde el pre-K hasta el grado 12 en todas las escuelas y trabajar con la ciudad, el condado y la industria privada para dar preferencia de contratación a los graduados que obtengan el sello bilingüe. Gracias.
Next up, Elise Packard.
President, board members, and Superintendent Chavez and staff, and indirectly the members who have spent so many hours in the reimagining process. My name is Elise Packard, and I'm here in support of the resolution for continuing strengthening and renaissancing our bilingual and dual language program. I speak as someone who's been doing bilingual tutoring at Cesar Chavez, the school that we love, for 4 years. And I want to compliment the strong effort to get the teachers that are needed and to understand that we have a core, such an asset, a core of talented bilingual professional teachers, and teaching assistants are coming along. Some volunteers of us join the effort. And it would be my hope with this resolution that this core of professionals and educational assistants continue to get recognized for the very professional work that they are doing. I would call on you to stand before the question, not if, but how. We have assets, and one of the strong assets is the bilingual, dual language, multicultural department. And I can tell that they are developing a strategic and potentially consistent approach across the district. And that's what it takes for many years to have a competent approach, and that be supported. And that we also garner the other assets. Remember that we have initiated in the last couple of years the newcomers camp. And hooray for that, because that camp saved children from swimming in unknowing and being recognized and being seen during those weeks in that summer camp. And ojalá that this can continue. And the other asset is the bilingual seal. And Rosario knows much more about that and what it takes. But what if we were to take those who gain that seal and beckon them into the teaching profession and fill those gaps that pain us when they exist, but could be filled by our very own resource. Thank you for the effort that you continue to make. And our kids can be global kids. They are so talented in being able to operate across different coding systems and cultures. Thank you.
Next up, Gretel y Barita.
Muy buenas tardes, representantes de la mesa directiva y superintendente Hilario Chávez. Mi nombre es Gretel Barrita, soy parte de AirCare y Poder Familiar. Soy un trabajador esencial para nuestra comunidad. En mi carrera como chef he tenido a cargo 3 restaurantes y en cada restaurante al menos 15 empleados, de lo cual me ha permitido vivir muy cerca cada una de las dificultades que aquejan a la familia de cada una de esas personas. Y una de las más importantes es la educación bilingüe, ya que en todos los casos los padres de familia sufren por no poder ayudar a sus hijos en las tareas o simplemente en la comunicación con sus propios hijos o viceversa. Esto repercute de manera negativa para el aprendizaje, la comunicación y hasta problemas psicológicos de nuestros niños. Y asimismo la impotencia de los padres de no saber cómo apoyar a los niños. Así que sería de gran impacto benéfico para nuestra comunidad en todos los sentidos para el futuro de nuestros niños. Implementar el sello bilingüe desde prekinder hasta el grado 12. Asimismo, estaríamos forjando desde ya un mejor futuro para nuestros niños, que son lo más importante. Gracias.
Next up, Amelia Baldwin.
My name is Amelia. I'm a student at Santa Fe High. Under the new system of standards-based grading, I've gone from a straight-A student to an unmotivated and overworked student. I no longer feel as though my grade reflects my effort or understanding of the subject I'm learning. One major drawback to the standards-based grading is the complexity of the system. Understanding the seemingly random grading is difficult for myself, my parents, and my teachers. Despite the emphasis on the ability to retake exams, some teachers can still just refuse a retake. This comes from a combination of confusion over the system and teachers wanting to avoid a state of perpetual testing. Teachers now have to design new tests and grade more papers. The schedule we have in place now does not support test taking. If a teacher does allow exam retakes and we are able to set up a time after school, I would have to add an hour to my nearly 9-hour school day and miss any of my after-school activities. This, as you can imagine, is a headache for the students and the teacher. Just today, I took a test where not a single student was prepared. In a class where the test date and due date of assignments are only recommendations, why bother trying too hard on the first time? My teacher would have had to spend hours of her time grading these tests, just to have to grade more tests after everyone studied and retook it. She described it as inhumane and humiliating. Even though the aim of standards-based grading is to build a holistic understanding of a subject, it has done the opposite. I used to enjoy learning, and I felt excited when I earned a good grade. Now I feel overworked and stressed over every test I take. This requires immediate action from the superintendent, the president of the board, and the subsequent board members. Please take time to consider what I've said. Thank you.
Next, we have Maria Cristina Lopez.
Good afternoon, Superintendent Chavez and President and board members and staff and everybody else. I am here in support of the resolution for bilingual ed, of the Renaissance Reimagining bilingual ed resolution. I'm really very excited about it, and everybody else said, were very eloquent about all the details. So I'm speaking as a member of the board of Somos Un Pueblo Unido, an immigrant rights, workers' rights organization, and we wholly support this resolution for many reasons. And you can imagine that it is so important for the children of our communities to maintain their language and expand it. And we find that not everybody does it, that young people kind of go to English and leave Spanish maybe at home. So we really would love it if it were equal, Spanish and English. The other thing is that I found as I taught Spanish as a heritage language at the community college, is that in the classroom we had people from our Hispanic community who were reinforcing and relearning, growing what they brought from home, and the first generation students, first generation Spanish-speaking students, the Mexicans, the Latin Americans, and the locals. And in that classroom, there was a lot of learning about the commonalities and the differences. But I think that if we can use our classrooms to tell some of the history, if not all of the history, and talk about what I just said, what brings us together and what makes us a little different, I think we would have better relations in the community. Thank you.
That concludes those who signed up this evening. Is there anybody else in the audience that didn't sign up that would like to speak tonight before I read the emails that were sent in? Okay. I'll read the emails, and then if she gets... the first email sent in for public forum was from Rachel Gersh. I am happy to see Santa Fe Public Schools moving towards a proactive approach to promoting bilingual and dual language education. Next one was sent in by Deborah Busemeyer. To the Board of Education, I am writing to add my voice to those who have asked you to reconsider using the standard-based grading system. This new system was implemented to make grading better in the following ways. Grades would be more consistent across the district. Grades would be more rational by basing grades on learning rather than behaviors or busy work. Grades would be clearer to students and parents by highlighting areas where students are doing well and areas where they still need improvement. Unfortunately, none of this is true. Instead, we have experienced the opposite: more confusion and less transparency, wildly inconsistent grading among teachers, and grades that are not remotely logical. A few of our experiences. Report cards are so much harder to interpret, and parents are not given a full report of which standards have received different scores, so it's actually harder to understand than previous report cards. It has become much harder to know what grade you have in a class throughout the semester because the scores no longer align with the universal grading system that colleges around the country use. My son gets every question correct on a test, and the teacher tells him he can only earn a 3 instead of a 4 because the material wasn't hard enough. Teachers don't understand how to apply the standards equitably and feel tremendous pressure in determining what grade they should give. My son earns a 3 on one assignment, a 4 on another, and has a B in that class. Students earn a B in both quarters and a C for the semester, and the teacher needs to fix it in the system. Students who are trying to further their education beyond high school need to track standard letter grades that colleges will consider. This grading system has made it harder to do so, causing great stress and frustration. Every teacher, student, and parent I've met thinks this system has been devastating and demoralizing. I hope you will listen to them. Please stop using a grading system that is failing our kids, families, and teachers. Thank you for your time, Deborah Busemeyer. Next one is from Sine Ortiz. Good afternoon. My name is Sine Ortiz. I'm a proud mother of 2 bilingual children, one of whom attends the dual language program El Camino Real, and the younger of which will also participate in a bilingual program when she is of age. I have over a decade of experience as a bilingual teacher and currently work for educational equity for all students at a nonprofit. I've witnessed and read the research of the significant benefits of high-quality dual immersion programs for our multilingual students. I'm writing to express my support for the school board's efforts to advance policies that provide resources, adequate staffing, training, and affirming environments that have proven to enhance student outcomes. Thank you for your consideration. In community, Sine Ortiz. Next one is from Scott Wittenberg. Good evening, President Anderson, Superintendent Chavez, members of the board, and community members. I write to express my concern about some recent events and policies at Santa Fe High School. My son is a junior at Santa Fe High School, and the change to standards-based grading has increased his anxiety about school significantly. It feels unreasonable and unfair to implement such a significant system change so late in his education. As a district committed to the social and emotional well-being of all students, I believe you should take a careful look at the impact this is having on students, especially the older ones. I've heard that my son should no longer see his academic achievement as a percent or grade, but as a level of proficiency. At the same time, this proficiency level is still converted to a letter grade and placed on his permanent record. And it is those letter grades which he'll have to show colleges and universities in order to gain acceptance. Furthermore, through a vaguely explained conversion process, it is entirely possible to receive Bs for letter grades in quarter 1 and quarter 2 and still receive a C for the semester. As an AP student, my son is having an especially difficult time this year thanks to the new grading system. What I understand from his AP teachers is that these proficiency levels are an even worse fit with the AP grading system. From my vantage point, the standards-based grading rollout sure looks like it wasn't very well thought out. From my son's perspective, it's worse. You have lost his trust. He spent his entire academic career thus far playing by one set of rules, and now you have pulled the rug out from under him, changing the rules when it matters most. What I'd like to know is why was this not implemented in phases, starting with younger students who could grow up with this new system? Why were teachers not given adequate time to understand the grading system and learn how to use it? Perhaps the effects of this new system on our older students were not thoroughly considered, or maybe these students were simply sacrificed in the name of progress. Either way, the end result is the same. I'd also like to address the recent resignation of Principal Vincent. We've now witnessed 2 excellent principals resign from Santa Fe High in just over a year with no explanation. Most recently, there was no communication letting the community know of his resignation until we were invited to meet a new interim principal. I have relationships with the teachers at Santa Fe High, and I see they are feeling high levels of stress. They are trying to learn and implement a new grading system while seeing the damaging effects on their students, knowing that the stakes are very high for them. I have to wonder if the rapid, poorly planned implementation of standards-based grading is behind your inability to keep good principals at Santa Fe High. Santa Fe Public Schools, please do better for the students, staff, and families of Santa Fe High. Sincerely, Scott Wittenberg. Next one is from Susanna Maurice. I would like to share my support for Resolution 2023-24-4 for the Santa Fe Public Schools School Board's commitment to a renaissance and reimagined bilingual education program, both as a professional and a parent in the Santa Fe School District. As a bilingual Spanish-English speech-language pathologist in the district, I am acutely aware of the benefits of quality exposure, support, and teaching of a primary language for children who come from primarily Spanish-speaking backgrounds. Having a solid foundation in a primary language is paramount in a child's success in learning a second language. This is especially true for the children that I work with who have speech and language delays or impairments. In other words, the more you can support a child with or without impaired language in their primary language early on, the better they will do in language learning in both languages later on. Not to mention all of the research that supports the benefits of bilingualism for social, emotional, and cognitive development. Equally important as a parent with a baby and a 3-year-old in the district, I think Santa Fe Public Schools is in a unique and important position to provide more quality bilingual programs to students and families based on our community needs and interests. The key word in all of this is quality. Having bilingual or Spanish-speaking educational assistants and teachers is not enough. It requires resources, training, and competence, and hiring high-quality teachers with the skills in order to make a bilingual program meaningful and successful. As a parent, I would be very excited about a commitment to make a bilingual program or to quality bilingual education in our district. I hope that this resolution enjoys resounding support, and I look forward to the exciting possibilities that its passage would enable for our educational community and the Santa Fe community alike. Thank you. And the last email that was sent in was from Maria Fernanda Ortiz. Good afternoon. As a mom of a bilingual child, I would like to support the initiative for funds and resources for bilingual programs in the Santa Fe Public Schools. As both languages are extremely important in the community, we would appreciate it if this could be supported. Thank you in advance. And I think that concludes the emails for public forum. And did we have one more? Marbeli? So Marbeli, come on up. You'll have 3 minutes.
Muy buenas noches, público de las escuelas y Santa Fe y superintendentes y público presente acá. Mi nombre es Carla Marbeli Colindres Martínez y pertenezco a Poder Familiar de Edgar y vengo en sí para apoyar la educación bilingüe, ya que creo que es muy importante porque, lo siento mucho, estoy un poquito nerviosa. Para la política de la educación bilingüe es importante para que los niños tengan mejor resultado en las escuelas y se desempeñen mejor. También es importante para que no olviden sus raíces o su cultura y el esfuerzo de sus padres a conservar los lazos con su familia. También es muy importante, ya que pienso de que aquí en Santa Fe está viniendo mucho inmigrante y pues yo siento que tanto que hablen español e inglés nos ayuda mucho a los que todavía no podemos, como en traducir, a poder comunicarnos hacia ustedes. A veces es muy difícil. Entonces para mí y para el futuro de mis hijos, y hablo de los demás niños, es demasiado importante que pongan mucho empeño a la educación tanto de español y inglés, porque van a fomentar siempre que no olviden su lengua materna y sus raíces. Muchas gracias.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who did not sign up who would like to make public comment? Okay, great. Then that will go ahead and conclude public forum. And moving on in the agenda, it is our union update, and I see our union president, Grace Meir.
Good evening. You guys hear me okay? Good evening, Board President Anderson, board members, Superintendent Chavez, and audience, cabinet, teachers, and parents. I want to talk to you about House Bill 215, which was introduced by Representative Garola and Jaramillo. It's regarding a reduction in class size and class loads. NEA New Mexico and NEA Santa Fe worked collaboratively with these legislators to rewrite some of this language, much of which was on recommendations from our membership through surveys. We've presented some of those surveys to this board, specifically from Santa Fe, but also from state members and educators. So I'd like to turn your attention to the bottom of page 7 and the beginning of page 8. This is where the gist of the changes to the class sizes are, and if I could get to it. So on the bottom, it takes out averages and it just has maximum class sizes. Class load for elementary teachers shall not exceed, and then the following pages talk to you about what those maximums would be. 15 students in kindergarten through grade 3. That would also entitle any teacher that has 15 or more students to an educational assistant. 18 students in grades 4 through 8, 22 students in grades 9 through 12. And in the 9 weeks of teaching load for teachers for grades 6 through 8 shall not exceed 90 students, and for grades 9 through 12 shall not exceed 110 students. We think this is an urgent issue that we need to address in terms of how our kids academically are not progressing, given the fact that they have less time with teachers to assist them, especially now after the pandemic. There's been issues around re-engagement, and I think that the investment that we should be making is in lowering class sizes so that teachers have more time individually with students to work on issues and also their academic challenges that they might have. This is a more comprehensive bill than a secondary bill that was just pushed through. Well, dropped, I guess, yesterday, not pushed through, but so there's competing bills on class size, but this takes it a little bit further. There's also on page 10 language about a portal that would be created for that the department, which is the PED department, would you create and maintain an online portal to allow students and other school employees and parents and students to submit confidential reports to department regarding violations of any class loads and limits. There wouldn't be any reprisals for this. This is to limit waivers that have been happening, not necessarily in our district, but throughout the state. There's been, class loads of up to like 30 and 40 kids in classes. We have some language in our CBA that allows for teachers to take on overages in different grade levels. And out of necessity, we needed to bargain those so that they would receive additional compensation. That's also located in the bill, but it's voluntary for the teacher to take on those additional students. And both the teachers and the EAs are compensated. The LESC did a report and has indicated that they wouldn't wanted to up some of those, stipends, thank you. Stipends for some of those overages and also for bilingual educators and EAs in the classrooms. So it's not right now, and as a proposal, it wasn't put forward as a bill, but, there's always this understanding that if you take on additional work, you'll receive additional compensation. But I think one of the only districts who continually did that through the last 15, 20 years has been Santa Fe Public Schools. And so other districts have gone around that by getting a waiver from the PED, which have been granted for overages for various reasons. But we're hoping to put an end to some of that and to move forward with having the conversation about that, what that means. The other bill also just includes elementary school, where we have middle and high school, which is really needed to get, the class sizes that are currently can be up to 32 in a class in some instances, 27 for in state statute for math and English in grades 9 and usually in middle school too, within our contract. We have limits within our negotiated CBA for this district that are are a little better like than statute in some ways, but I have to tell you that we've been having to, sign MOUs for overages because we lack the appropriate staff to maybe hire another teacher in that grade level. But also, the district isn't always given the resources it needs to hire those multiple teachers in a particular school. So I'm here tonight to ask you to support House Bill 215 and to try to work with the legislature to get it through committee and to ultimately pass this. We initially talked about it being aspirational, but I don't even think it's aspirational at this point. I think it's so necessary to deal with the issues of our students and their academic achievement, and to make an investment in them by reducing class size as opposed to extending the calendar year. With a 37% truancy rate, I don't think that is the solution. So I think this is a proposal that would really change the way that our kids engage with their school and parents engage with their school. And I know on the reimagining committee, there were parents who did request, like, not only reduce class size, but also having the EA in every classroom. And this starts to address that, especially in early childhood. The other competing bill, just to give you an indication, right now in statute, the maximum for kindergarten is 20. And that's in our CBA, and it's way too many with one assistant after 15. The other bill doesn't even address that. It just has it as 20. So there's an attempt, I think, to say that there's work being done in early childhood to alleviate some of that, but there isn't. And so the only way for us to sort of put this issue forward is to say 15 is a reasonable number with an assistant. Pre-K is at 22, and that's not in law, but in the department. That is unreasonable to expect one teacher and one aide to be with 24-year-olds. And unfortunately, in our district, in some of our sites, we've had some teachers walk away from those classrooms just in the last month, which is unfortunate. So now there's just educational assistance with those students, and it's not okay. And, we need to do better with our younger students. If we want to improve literacy rates, we need to reduce class sizes, especially in early childhood, but also throughout, the grade levels K through 12. And we think this addresses those needs. It also, I think, would be a better recruitment tool, so that teachers would know that they would only have 15 students, not potentially 20 or 24 or 26, and then one educational assistant. For this, especially the early childhood grades, when we're learning to read, trying to promote literacy. We want to promote literacy, we need to get a ratio that's reasonable and that assists our students, many of which are bilingual students too. Many times in our district, our educational assistants are bilingual individuals that assist with that. They receive stipends for that. If they work primarily with students in Spanish, they receive an additional stipend in terms of their compensation. So this, along with also raising all our educational assistants to $30,000 a year salary, would help to recruit those folks that we really need, because we're short those staff as well. So I hope that we can work together to try to get this through committee and passed, and that the governor recognizes that this is the investment that educators have been asking for about a decade. And if we have the resources and money as a state, this is where we should put it. And I hope that she's hearing me. And I hope that she hears from you guys and that we make an effort to support that. Okay. I want to, was made aware that the board will be working through the evaluation of the Superintendent Chavez, and I want to talk about NEA Santa Fe's support for our superintendent and all the efforts he's made and the responsive nature that he has when I call him on the phone or text him. And that kind of collaboration has really been helpful for our district because we resolve problems pretty quickly before they have to go to grievances or other things. I mean, we have, you know, in the last 3 days and including tonight, talked about, remedying issues about class load sizes, loss of prep hours and compensation for that, due process rights under our contract and what that means and what that looks like. A lot of issues about some pay table issues that he has personally worked on to fix and make sure that our employees' pay is corrected. And I think that those minor things that are daily things that we don't often hear about are what makes this relationship really kind of work. But also our major accomplishments that have happened in the last couple of years, I think are pretty remarkable. And those are our early childhood center for our employees, our housing initiatives that we're starting to work on now with the assistance of the board, I'm sure. Our innovative summer programming that an individual in public forum spoke of, our Newcomer Institute, our other programmings have really, I think, enlightened the community of how innovative Santa Fe Public Schools could be and how committed our superintendent and our educators through their union are committed to the students of Santa Fe, but also the community and making sure that all of our students have a well-rounded education, and it's not about testing or, always talking about the deficits that our children have, but the positive things that they possess and the qualities that they possess, and that, being a bilingual student is an asset in all different ways. And so I'm here to support the superintendent on behalf of our membership, and I just wanted to highlight a few things and hope that this also extends his contract potentially, because I also believe that his commitment to this community and if we can have a superintendent that stays more than 3 years, like 5, 10 years, that consistency will really build on itself, and that our community will see higher graduation rates, more participation, better attendance of students, and an overall feeling that there's a commitment from an individual for a career as opposed to a stepping stone to other things. Because we've had superintendents like that, and it was a complete disaster. And so I'm here to tell you that I appreciate all the work of the superintendent, and I hope the board has a similar view as I do about the accomplishments. And I wanted to just speak to some of those smaller issues of how he's also attentive to concerns from our members, always has meetings. If they ask for a meeting, he has an open door policy, and he really means it. And he certainly responds to my texts when he gets them, when he's not in other meetings. But I just wanted to also discuss a little bit about the resolution for the bilingual Renaissance, and just to clarify a couple of things, because I think our district has had pretty consistent commitment to not only making sure that we have bilingual educators in the room and educational assistants, but compensating them, with competitive stipends. Surrounding areas don't have the levels that we have. We have also a translator stipend for our EAs and our secretaries to when they in addition to their salary. So when Spanish-speaking families come in to register a student or deal with an issue, that we have someone there at site that is taking on that role. And I think that's really a testament to the commitment this district has had. And so I know we need to do more, and we need to go further with it, and hopefully we can. And like I said, that LESC report also talks about additional stipends for bilingual education. So maybe a conversation with Gwen Waterman, or if you guys want to pull that up, it's like a 200-page document, but I could probably text you the page. But anyway, that's my union update for tonight.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mayor. I just want to echo you that I really hope that the governor hears the pleas of educators to lower class sizes, and that will improve our educational outcomes. And I think it will also, I agree that it will serve as a great recruiting tool. Anyone else? Okay, moving to board announcements and follow-up. Do any board members have any announcements? Okay, we will move to superintendent announcements and follow-up. Superintendent?
Thank you, Board President Anderson. Yeah, I'll go through a couple of announcements, and then I'll have some special guests help me on one of my announcements. We are proud to announce that our digital learning coaches will support Santa Fe Public School students as they present at the legislature on STEAM Day, which is February 1st. Our thanks to the Llano Foundation for providing a bus to transport the students. And then on February 2nd, we are taking 2 full buses to visit the Roundhouse. So that was something one of the student board members brought forward as well. Tomorrow, just in case people are listening, is Parent-Teacher Conference. They will still take place tomorrow, and that is no school for students. Also, once again, Capitol High School students were selected by Llano as one of the winning teams in the Governor's STEM Challenge held on January 20th on the University of New Mexico campus. Congratulations to 7 students on the team, including team captain Edward Scott, Jesse Birch, Craig Andre, Hayes Christensen, Brittany Marquez, Jordan Lamb, and Raul Alvarado. These students presented their Scooby project, which is a robotic gun detection system. You'll recall in December I reported that they were a semifinalist. Well, we're proud to announce that they won. Each student will also receive $500 from the Llano Foundation. We once again want to congratulate teacher Barbara Tederitz and Arena Cislora. David Ritter is the team's industry mentor. So we want to congratulate Capitol High and the great work doing around STEM and STEAM. We also want to congratulate this year's district spelling bee, which was held on January 12th, which resulted in the following winners. Taking first place with Juliet Anderson from Santa Fe Prep. Second place, Joshua Bella from Mandela International Magnet School. Third place was Sabine Cathy from Wood Gormley Elementary School. It went 9 rounds, and the winning word was crustacean. We are also happy to finally announce over the winter break, we finally received our award letter for the Near Peer Tutoring Program from the Public Education Department. The Near Peer Tutoring Program provides paid high school students who would be tutors to provide these type of services in reading and math to elementary and middle school students. Among the benefits of tutors is receiving work-based learning experience in the field of education and developing into mentor tutors. For participating, these students will continue to provide instruction from a curriculum called Educators Rising, and what that is going to be provided by, or by who, will be district staff. District staff will be teaching the classes to our near peer tutors, such as lesson plan development, learning, engagement, classroom management, so on and so forth. It will start on January 29th, and the first lesson is on professionalism. So we want to thank our 30 near-peer tutors and also the state of New Mexico, because we are hoping this develops those individuals into educators one day. So a way to create a pipeline into education. And then tonight with me is Howard Exner, my senior staff member, Christina Gonzalez, our fine arts coordinator, to provide an update on the work that we had tasked them with. What it is the Music Task Force. If you remember, there was a Music Task Force formed in 2007, and that was prior to state standards being in place for music. And so I've asked them to re-engage with the community, with the task force, and come tonight and provide an update and give you guys a briefing on it. Mr. Exner and Ms. Gonzalez, please.
Thank you, Board President Anderson, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. Thanks for having Christina and I here tonight to give you an update on the Music Task Force. We are midway through our process, so this is indeed just a brief update, and we are not through with our work, but we'll talk about where we see ourselves heading. So the 4 topic areas that we'd like to talk about tonight are the charge that Superintendent Chavez presented us with. I'd like to talk a little bit about the task force membership. Then I'll turn things over to Christina. She'll talk about the meetings that have taken place to date, and then looking ahead, what we are going to accomplish between now and the end of the school year. So our charge. I believe there were 2 things last summer that led the superintendent to task us with leading a task force. For one, we consolidated some positions. We previously had 2 individuals, an art coordinator and a music coordinator, that were combined into one position, a fine arts coordinator. And we were thankful that Christina stayed on board and assumed the position of taking that fine arts coordinator position, but it did provide new leadership at the top of the music program. Also, as Superintendent Chavez said a few moments ago, it's been since 2007 that there's been a comprehensive look at the district music program. That task force in 2007 did produce a document called the Implementation Plan for Improving Santa Fe Public Schools K-12 Music Education Program. But a lot has changed in our district between 2007 and 2024. At that time, we were probably serving approximately 16 or 17,000 students. Now we're at about 11 or 12,000. So Superintendent Chavez asked us, form a task force, take a look at what is happening in music education in Santa Fe Public Schools now, and come back at the end of the school year with some recommendations on things the district should consider moving forward that could possibly strengthen the district music program. So our task force membership, we have 19 people on the committee, and one thing that I feel that should be considered when you're forming a task force or a committee is, what's the right size? It needs to be large enough to represent different perspectives and different views of what should occur, and at the same time, it can't be so large that you can't get any traction and move forward and produce in monthly meetings a significant project at the end of the school year. So we have 19 members, as I said. We have administrators on the task force representing both district administration and school administrators, and the school administrators represent both elementary and secondary. We have 6 music teachers on the committee. 5 of them are elected by their peers as the professional learning community representatives of each of the 5 content areas. And as you can see on the screen, those areas are general music, band, choir, orchestra, and harmonizing instruments, which are guitar and piano. So those are teachers elected by their peers to represent them. And then our 6th teacher on the committee was also on that 2007 music task force. So we have some historical knowledge there as well. We're happy to say that we have 2 student representatives on the committee, one from Capitol High School, one from Santa Fe High School, both highly recommended by their music teachers. And then finally, we have community members. We have parents representing both the K-8 and the high school ends of the spectrum. We have some representatives from our community arts partners. Specifically, we have the executive director of the Santa Fe Youth Symphony and one of the administrators of Mariachi Ernesto Gonzalez, which is a mariachi group that is associated with Milagro Middle School. We have several retired music educators on our task force from New Mexico as well as some other states. And I find it interesting that there are 4 members of our 19 who are either current or former music administrators in K-12 systems, some from here in Santa Fe, some from Texas, some from Arizona. So I think that's kind of a unique thing about our group. Geographically also, we're pleased with the fact that we've reached out and we think we have different geographic regions of the community well represented. I'd specifically mentioned Atalaya, Milagro, Kearney, El Camino, El Dorado, Gonzales, Ortiz, and Santa Fe and Capitol High Schools. And there might be others that I'm not even thinking of because several people on the committee wear multiple hats. They might be an employee and also have a child that attends one school. They might teach at multiple schools. So we feel that we've really pulled a broad cross-section of people together, and we're considering all those diverse viewpoints that we should as we are tasked with presenting recommendations to the superintendent in May. So having said that, I will turn things over to Christina, and she'll talk about what we've done in our meetings to date and where we plan to be going later this spring.
Thank you, Howard. Board President Anderson, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. I was so captivated by Howard's talking about it. I was like, oh, I'm going to go next. So I am going to run through a little bit of what has happened in the task force meetings thus far. And this first slide is a little bit of the overview, how we began to think about this process. The meetings are monthly, and we started pretty soon into the school year. So our very first meeting was in August. We've had 5 meetings and 1 social event so far, and we anticipate another 4 or 5 meetings up going through May. And when we first sort of started putting this together, we were thinking of the process in 3 phases. So phase 1, let's collect all the information from across the district. This is just data collection and sharing. What's happening in what schools? What programs are offered? What grade does that start in? And so on. Are they after school? Are they during school? How does all of that work? And so that was kind of phase 1. Phase 2, what constitutes quality? How in Santa Fe Public Schools are we going to be defining quality music education, successful music education? And then phase 3, what are the recommendations moving forward? So we built our agendas around those 3 phases. And, you know, we really sought input from the task force members in crafting the agendas. Howard and I built them together, but in all of our meetings, we save time at the end to get input. And you'll see as we kind of get into a little bit more of the detail of how some of that was structured. We also surveyed members of the task force to get their input as well. So here's a little bit more about what we've covered, and there's of course lots of information that will go into the final report to the superintendent, but this gives you a little bit more of the detail. The first 2 meetings, August and September, were actually presented by the PLC lead. So our band lead, our orchestra, choir, general music, and so on, harmonizing instruments. And it took more time than we anticipated. These teachers came in and they had to do a lot of research. They surveyed their peers all over the district. How often does band meet? How often does choir meet? How does it work in your school? So there's a lot of information that we learned in those first 2 meetings. In October, we addressed budget. So I oversee the operational budget for music and art. We also worked with our mill levy music inventory manager, Cindy Roper, who addressed mill levy funding, instruments, that sort of thing, that the district has a pretty significant investment financially in music and art education. It's really an incredible benefit here. We also heard from some principals, the 2 principals, a secondary and an elementary principal, and tried to get a sense what is the role of music education in your school site. So that was really great to get their input. One of the things that came out of those kind of September, October meetings was this question from task force members. What do other districts around New Mexico do? When do they start
band? What grades do they start orchestra and so on? What are the most successful districts? What are we doing really well? What could we improve on? What are our growth points? So we invited the Neil Swap, the executive director of the New Mexico Music Educators Association. Neil is a highly respected, longtime music educator in New Mexico. And he actually, he's a former colleague of mine. He lives in Silver City and works out of Silver City. He drove up, he left in the morning, drove to Santa Fe for a 4:00 meeting. We meet for an hour and a half every month. So he was here I guess he got in at lunch. We took him out to lunch. But he was here for a 1.5 hour meeting, and then he drove back to Silver City that night to make a meeting the next day. So if that is any kind of indication of the level of commitment for some of these music educators, he did that for us to be here in person and share some of his thoughts around music education in New Mexico. It was really very valuable information and valuable input for all of us. He also prepared a 4 to 5 page document for us around music education in New Mexico. Here are some of the strongest districts that I see. Here are some of the things that I notice. So that really kind of gave us more to chew on. Like what do we need to do here in Santa Fe to grow? What are our growth points? December, as I mentioned, there was a social event. It was really wonderful. We had an opportunity to thank our community arts partners in music and art. As you all know, we live in one of the great art cities of our country. And so that was really wonderful to gather those individuals and arts leaders across the community just to say thank you. You play such an important role in art and music education. So we had one meeting so far in January. We actually have another one this coming Monday. And 2 more guests in January. Neil Swap recommended Dr. Kurt Schmidt, the executive director of fine arts in Rio Rancho Public Schools, to come. I mean, Neil sort of targeted and identified Rio Rancho as having one of the strongest programs in the state of New Mexico. And with Dr. Schmidt, we were able to get in kind of at a more granular level with respect to programs and grades and schools and middle school, what do you do, and elementary school, what do you do? So that was really wonderful. This happened to be an online meeting. It was a snow day. We planned to do online, but it worked out really beautifully. And Deputy Superintendent Vanessa Romero was also able to join us for that whole meeting. So she was able to ask questions of Dr. Schmidt and vice versa. And Deputy Superintendent Romero also really shared with us some considerations and a very valuable information for the task force around balancing mandatory instructional minutes and balancing that with ensuring consistency in our music instruction. In addition to all those guest speakers, input from the teacher leaders, we also looked at a number of documents. The 2007 implementation plan that this district did many years ago. And so we have a nice PDF of that. We also looked at the National Association for Music Education, NAFME's National Opportunity to Learn standards. Those were recently updated, and they really guide nationally, they guide what are the standards, what constitutes basic music education and quality music education. So we were able to look at all of that, as well as some fine arts budgets documents from around the state of New Mexico. So a whole lot of information in, between August and now. And as I said, we have 4 or 5 more months to go. So let me go to our next slide here. Looking ahead, we're entering after phase 1 data gathering, phase 2 kind of defining quality. We're moving into phase 3 now of beginning to look at recommendations. What else here, Howard? Yes, thank you. Really quickly, we have such incredible music task force members. So Yeah, I mean, just I want to extend a public thanks to all of those individuals. I think a lot of people are online watching. We kind of told them, you should be watching online. This is a big deal. And we've heard from a lot of experts, looked at a lot of data, and we're looking forward to the next steps. That's going to be the process over the next few months. So hopefully you'll all be hearing more about that in the future. Thank you so much. Board President, members of the board, and Superintendent Chavez for giving us the opportunity to really kind of dig deep into this, and I look forward to seeing where it all leads. Thank you.
Thank you both. Appreciate you. And that does conclude my updates.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Superintendent. And thank you so much for the presentation. That was really fantastic. It's great to know what's happening in music and art. And it just warms my heart to hear all of the things that we're doing. And I've also gotten some feedback from members of the task force, which is really fantastic. And it sounds like you're doing great work and really digging in to a lot of what we need to be digging into in terms of music education in the district. And I know it definitely always comes up around budget time, and anytime there's decision making, music is a big focus of our community. So thank you. Any other board members have any questions or comments? Okay, great. We will now move to the presentation. Superintendent?
Thank you, Board President Anders, members of the board. With us tonight are our wonderful team in safety and security, led by our Executive Director, Mr. Mario Salvidres, and our Director, Mr. Mark Lewandowski.
She's going to control it? Is that the computers? Good afternoon, Board President Anderson, Superintendent Chavez, and board members. Thank you very much for letting us be here again today. It's been a little while, approximately 2 years since we were here doing a presentation, but does not mean that we haven't been doing a lot of work and been in constant contact and communication of our processes that we've been putting in place. So we're here to share again a little bit of an update of where we are today, a couple of years later. So if we can go to the next slide, please. One more back. So a couple of years ago, we were presenting at the Leadership Institute, and my team and myself got together and we said, well, we got to come up with our own model, what we stand for and how we can encourage others to be part of our team. So thanks to, there's a little box there, Maggie, if you can exit out. So thanks to Maggie's daughter, we have that nice little picture there. She drew it up for us, which is awesome. And our model came to us. It said safety is a shared responsibility. And it was a way for us to ask all of our other departments in the Santa Fe Public School District to help us to help our students stay safe, our staff to stay safe. We followed through for it with that year, and we saw that a lot of people bought into it. So we kept it, and we've adopted it as basically what we go by every time we talk to members of the community, to our staff, to our schools, that everybody's part of our team and everybody is important when it comes to telling us there's dangers or perceived threats to our schools, and we appreciate it. And it's not just, like I said, not just the Santa Fe Public Schools, but our community members, our sheriff's department, our police department, anybody who has any information, you're part of our team. We share that responsibility, and we appreciate the equal eyes and ears out there for us. So we'll go on to the next one. I will introduce my team in just a minute. I'm kind of saving that for a bit. But the last time we were here, we spoke about the Sandy Hook Promise, threat of harm assessment to others, the Raptor drill management, emergency supplies that we were working with, PPE. We still do that on a case-by-case basis when schools need them. RAVE, Stop the Bleed, RhinoWare, key and swipe cards, how we're working with the mandatory reporting and safety audits. Those are some of the topics we spoke about a couple of years ago. We have a whole new set of plans in place and safety measures that we have adopted. We'll go to the next slide, please. I like to point this out. In 2018, I started with the Santa Fe Public Schools. I had the honor of being allowed to come be part of this team. And so it was April of 2018 when I started, and this is what I stepped into. We had Dr. Garcia at the time as my superintendent, myself as the director of safety and security. We had a vacant manager's position. We had the fabulous Maggie Romero as our safety coordinator with us, crossing guard contract, and our security contract. That's what we looked like back then. Today, we look a little different. This is who we are today. We clearly have our Superintendent Chavez today. We have myself as the Executive Director. You have Mark Lewandowski as the Deputy Director. We have still the fabulous Maggie as our Safety Coordinator. We have an Emergency Manager, Brian Rodriguez. And we have crossing guards, vehicle patrol, and we adopted all our safety aides into our program, which that creates our new department. Thank you.
And union members.
And union members.
And the gray hair.
Right. With that comes challenges, but they're challenges that are worthwhile taking because there are kids, as I say this very with the big heart that our safety is that we have in our schools care about their kids, whether it be during school hours, after hours. We have one at Miss Mayer's school, Mr. Craig Ernst, who goes by Donald on the email, who loves to work out, and the kids have constantly asking him for new ways to get stronger and built and so forth, and he gets a kick out of doing that stuff. So he fits in perfectly, and that's what we're trying to find is the right person for these kids to be there for them, not just to keep them safe, but to also be a mentor and somebody they can talk to about other items other than just school. So I think we've been fairly successful in going, but we don't stop there. We hope to go bigger and better still from there. Next slide, please. So here we go with some additions that we've added to our district. You're going to see some of these numbers are pretty big, but we're going to explain some of the processes that took place. But before I do that, I want to thank you all, the Board of Education, our superintendent, everybody here at these tables, for their support in not just talking about safety, but actually giving us the funds to create those safe environments, to put in the new cameras, to put in the safeguards that are needed. It's easy to talk about safety and then let it be, walk away, nobody's hearing anymore. But it's a lot harder to say, let's talk about safety and put our money where our mouth is, for lack of a better term. And I applaud you and thank you that you've given me the opportunity, my team the opportunity to actually do what we have to do for our kids and our staff. So in here we have the district. We looked at our district cameras. We have 122% increase in not cameras, but camera views. And Mr. Lewandowski will talk about that a little bit later. We also look at fencing, thanks to the facilities, works with us very well. And when we identify deficiencies or improvements that we could do, they've been very gracious to let us work with their contractors to adopt additional fencing needs at our schools. We added delineator poles at the district. What that means is we have places that were challenged by traffic jams or parents always in a hurry to get to their job to drop off their kids, and they're going against traffic or in dangerous mode. So we added delineator poles that slow down traffic, control the movement of that traffic on our school grounds to hopefully improve the safety of the students, but also the parents coming in, visitors, our own staff coming to work. So we help and use these items to slow them down and control them a little bit better. Traffic arms to prevent vehicles from going into areas where they're designated for staff or buses. We want our kids to be safe and comfortable to get off these buses. I have little ones. They don't always adhere to what we educate them. They jump off these buses and take off running. We all want them to do that because that's a healthy, good kid. He's eager to move around. We are responsible for doing what we can or doing our best to keep them safe. So that we adopted some of those items. Again, we continuously add access control. We look at the workflow of our teachers when they're using particular doors at a school to go out to a playground and it doesn't have access control, so they keep propping the door open because that's the best route for them to take their kids out to the playground and so forth. We evaluate that. We say, well, they're breaching our security measures because we're not listening to them. So we'll go in and add access control so that, one, they have the access they desire, and two, the safety measures that are in place remain without violating or breaching our safety protocols. And then the safety ballers, we'll show you a picture in just a minute. We've had complaints in the past. I'm a community member, so I have friends that will call me and complain about their kids being outside of the school waiting to go into the classrooms or get school started, or thereafter with vehicles moving around and they're just sitting there and something bad could happen with the car losing control and striking one of our kids. So we started to use more safety bollards at schools, and we'll show you pictures of that in just a minute. Go ahead. So here's one of the safety bollards that we adopted. This is El Camino Real. If you see the picture on the left, that's the before. Closer to the curb, you'll see there's nothing there. There's no cars at the moment, but there is no bollards there. You look at the one on the right after, that's our ballers. We spoke with the principal, chose a color that was part of their school to go with the color for those bollards. And then at the bottom, we faded out the picture so we can identify the students. But that's what happens in after school and before school. We have a lot of kids coming and going, and now we have a process to protect them in case somebody's tired from working graveyard, lose control of the vehicle. They're not going to strike our kids. Those bollards are going to stop them from injuring our staff or students when they're there waiting before or after school. Go ahead, Mark. So increased camera coverage, this is what we've done per school. As you'll see in 2018, we'll take this the first one. Sequia Madre had 7 cameras total as of today, they have 35. That's a 400% increase. And we will let Mark talk about that in just a minute, how we achieve that, but not necessarily increasing the number of cameras. We use technology on our side. So I won't go through every one. Here's our admin, go ahead. Here's our admin buildings. They weren't neglected either. We felt that they needed some attention and love as well. So we reached out and gave them a little bit of attention and love to make sure to hopefully improve their safety and deter anybody from considering doing something bad at our schools. And I'll let Mark talk about a few of those cameras.
Board President Anderson, Superintendent Chavez, board members. So if we look at that picture right there, we'll start over on the left. That first camera over on the left is what we call a fisheye. It's actually a pretty good camera when it comes to technology. It sits over top, usually a ceiling mount. It's going to give a whole wide range of the room. When you're looking at that camera, you can actually de-warp it and follow people around. The technology is absolutely amazing. The next camera is what we call a peanut camera. It's a 2-lens camera. Some people wonder, why do you have 2-lens cameras or multi-view cameras, and how did we get to this increase? Well, these cameras are actually cost effective. We're getting a camera with 2 or 4 views. Your labor is to install 1 camera. Your licensing is 1 camera. Your cabling is 1 camera, but your views is 4. So we're getting better views, we're getting better tracking, we're getting better angles, all by utilizing the technology they have. Those 4 views sometimes go up to 15 megapixels per camera, which is incredible what you can get from a single lens. Not saying anything that was done wrong in 2018. That was probably the latest and greatest technology. But here now in 2023 and 2024, we're utilizing the cameras. There's one over there in the middle. Looks a little odd, looks a little kind of like alienish. That's actually a 4-head camera, and the camera sticking out from the bottom is a PTZ. It's a pan tilt zoom. That's a camera that can zoom in and look. We can follow people do things. And even if you take a pan tilt zoom and I'm following someone somewhere, I have the 4 cameras above that's still getting the view. So in the past, you would take and you would follow someone on a PTZ camera, and then you would lose what's going on the other places. This gives us an all-around view and all-around access. Go ahead. Also, here's another great example of how we're utilizing it. This is actually, the 2 pictures on the top are actually from Nino Otero looking at Capitol High School. As you can see, we're monitoring the crosswalk, we're monitoring the baseball diamonds, the baseball fields. The technology is absolutely amazing. We're able to zoom in and see from basically a roof of another school to see how these cameras and see what's going on at these schools. So we started taking a concept of always, instead of looking out from the schools, to try to find angles and views to look in from the schools and to see what's going on that way. We look at another one on the bottom, that's on a pole, that's another PTZ, that's Capitol High School. We're able to monitor that parking lot if incidents happen, move around, follow. It's what we're using now. The technology is amazing. Go ahead. The other thing we did to make the camera and the camera system more efficient, we're putting all these views in, but it still has to be efficient, it still has to be able to move, it still has to be working. So we went from like all-in-one computers, smaller types of servers. We really basically standardized it. We're using 720s and 760 XDs from Dell. Great technology. If you look to the left, there's that little black box and a monitor. Those are called Nooks. That gives the opportunity for our staff, our secretaries up front to feel safe, to be able to see who's coming in and leaving the schools, and actually be able to go around the schools and look at it. Takes a lot of pressure off the system. Those cameras before were monitored from one main server. Now with these little Nooks, you're able to monitor it and it doesn't put the pressure on the system that we had. Go ahead. AEDs. Looks like we're gonna play a video, but we need some access. I'm not sure who.
I can talk a little bit to this. So our AEDs are placed in all of our schools. There's also, it's very easy to hook up to a individual that's in need because it talks to you. It provides you directions. This was something that I think Channel 13 did an article on, and we are one of the few districts that have it in across the entire district.
That's correct. We have a total of 37 AEDs in the district right now. Our high schools have them in the main area of the school. We have them in the gym, and then we also have traveling ones for when they go to sporting events. So the AEDs, again, Superintendent, thank you. We are probably one of the very few districts that use an AED like this. The CR2 is an excellent AED. It is actually one AED for children and adults or infants. It's actually bilingual. It has one button you press and it can go from English and Spanish. It actually takes you through every step of it. They come with an 8-year warranty. All the pads have a full need to be replaced every 4 years and batteries every 4 years. The AED itself is an 8-year warranty. It's an excellent investment. It's a life-saving device, and it's in every single one of our schools.
If I can say one thing.
Go ahead.
And there's one additional part about the AED, which a lot of our nurses and staff are learning. When they take the unit out of the cabinet and they take it somewhere for training purposes, we've had our nurses training their staff at the school. We get notified that the AED has been opened, it's on, and it tells us which AED exactly it is. So then we start calling, and they kind of get a little bit surprised that we're making these phone calls and saying, "Where's your AED? Can you check the cabinet for me?" And they go in there and they tell us, "Oh, the nurse took it for training purposes," which is great because it's a great device that's able to travel. We have traveling ones, and what really sold a lot of us on this was that it has the ability to communicate back to an ambulance. So if they're using this device on a patient, the ambulance has the ability to see what that patient's doing at the time before they arrive. So they're much more prepared when they arrive to provide the service and first aid service to this patient at that time. Good. All right, ongoing improvements. It threw us off a little bit. We're going to work right through this. Okay, next slide. So here's something that we try to learn from other people's mistakes or challenges. This happened to another school, a charter school here, where they had an offsite evacuation and they had a hard time doing reunification. Another department, another government agency came in and helped them to do the reunification. So we talked amongst the team and said, well, if we went out to any one of our schools and tried to do a reunification, would we know every single child's name, where they belong, their parents? Of course not. Right? So how do we improve on what we're doing? We do have reunification requirements by the state, but I think we can do better. So we came up with these little tags for the kindergarten through 6th grade because they're the more vulnerable ones. And these little tags are now in every single school teacher's backpack, the red backpack for emergencies, in K through 6. They're not filled out, so if they have to do an offsite evacuation and we have to reunify them with their kids, it's two things. One, now it gives the teacher the opportunity to sit down with their class, verify they have all their students because they're going to fill them out. They should have all that information, and they're going to have help each other put these on their wrists. Now, when we get additional help from the district, we now can look at the rest of this child and say, okay, we know your name. We definitely know who your teacher is. We know your mom and dad's name. And maybe you have allergies or notes. We know about that as well. So to hopefully improve the way we reunify these kids back with their parents or their guardians. I just felt it was something nice. I'm not going to offend our middle school or high schoolers and ask them to wear the same thing. Instead, I would actually reach out to them and say, can you help me? Because they're very capable at that age to help us do this process for the younger kids. Next one, please. And it's the same thing with the security window film.
A little bit about this, and I know they'll add. This was something that we heard from our secretaries at every school, that they were vulnerable, that they were in fear of somebody coming through. So this was something that we added this year, was security film. And I think that they appreciate that. We listened again, as President Mayer mentioned, to our union partners, because they are the boots on the ground and they provide us a lot of information. And this was an upgrade this year because of the feedback we received.
And we apologize. It's actually under Roger, and that is why he doesn't have permissions. It's shared with everybody else but Roger. And he also,
and I can share with the board this presentation.
Refresh that. You should have permissions now. And we'll let the films, the little video speak for itself. Just so I can talk, I know Superintendent, you spoke about it. I do apologize. I was not paying attention.
American Defense Structures presents the Armor Code Security. American Defense Structures presents the Armor Code Security Film, an overview of our advanced level film. Level 2, Blast and Riot Control. Ideal for protecting your home or business from aggressive forced entry. Axe, rocks, and even hammers. Severe weather resistance and capable of withstanding a strong blast force. Level 3, bullet resistant extreme protection, sustaining multiple 45 ACP rounds. And again with this 9mm. Clear, non-detectable safety and security film, focused solely on defense. Protecting your community, schools, churches, homes, and businesses. 0% penetration. Armor Coat Security Film is even capable of withstanding shots from this AR-15. And now that same film with this 44 Magnum handgun. Six shots later, 0 penetration.
That's good.
Your safety isn't a compromise. Armor Coat Security.
So we listen to our staff, and some of our staff, for tactical purposes and for safety purposes, we won't identify exactly where these items are located, or this window film is located at our schools. But we listen to our staff. Our superintendent listened to our staff, and they certain members of our staff felt that they deserved more and more protection. We looked at a different company. We went to demos. We went to this company, looked at demos. I know it's a little graphic and all, but that's what we were looking for. Is it going to make us feel safe, or is it going to actually be safe for us? Okay, so we finally went with this product. Again, thank you all for providing us the fund to move forward with this project. We are about 90% complete. We have a few other windows we've identified that we're going to continue to add to these areas. Windows that adding this product to these windows in certain classrooms and locations allows us then to layer back again another device that we have in the district that helps us again increase the safety in those particular rooms that we weren't able to do that before. So again, more options, more layers of protection that we can continue to add. Next.
American Defense Structures presents.
We won't make you watch it twice. We'll just go to the next one. So here's the, we'll let Mark talk about this, just so you know really quick. This is what our safety drills are required every year. But we have one drill that Mark's going to talk about that most other districts, I haven't heard of any really, who are doing this drill. But we felt it was prudent to expose our kids to it. Before Mark talks about it, I want you all to keep in mind that this particular drill is not a super fast, let's run, let's get the drill done. No, it's a conversational piece. It's a walking drill. It's something to get our kids thinking when they need to be safe, what could happen, how to maintain themselves, and use our layered approach in their benefit if a threat ever presents itself.
We have several types of drills that we do, as you can see up there, from fire drills to shelter in place. The one Mario is talking about is a reverse fire drill. So we kind of think outside the box and make it a little bit more realistic. It is a fire drill at first. So it's a fire drill, and when the kids are getting ready to walk out in the hall, the teacher will stop them. They'll then stop them and say it's no longer a fire drill. Maybe someone pulled the fire alarm that had a bad intention, or maybe it was done by accident. What they do is they stop their class. They talk to them. They have a conversation with them, and they tell them to look around. Once they look around, they say, if something would happen, what would you do? Where would you go? How would you respond? After they do that, they go back in the classroom, and then they discuss it a little bit further. What would happen if we had to go into a shelter in place or a lockdown? This is basically to keep the kids thinking, but to have that conversation and be able to ask questions to the teacher, but then for the teacher to be able to respond to the questions from the kids. It makes the teacher feel more comfortable also as they're going out, because I think sometimes we become creatures of habit and we do the same thing over and over again. And if we look at what's happened, this is something we're trying to prevent from happening in our school district. Go ahead.
So if you send me access request on that, I will talk about this. So here is our robot, and I will tell you, I always love being first at a lot of things. Sometimes they're great. Other times they're very highly challenging because you have a lot of unknowns that you're working on, right? And we found a lot of unknowns, but we are working through it. I'll let the video speak for itself in just a second, but I want to point one thing out first. Our kids at Santa Fe High School, even the company that put it out there, are extremely surprised out of our students. They're highly respectful of this little device. Instead of being mean, trying to tip it over, putting hats to cover him up and whatnot, I hear more often them talking to it and saying good morning as they're walking by. And it's kind of funny, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, you've adopted him as your device, your robot, and it's helping you stay safe. We've had one incident that the robot was sat on, but that was because the kid was amongst his friends and there was no other place to sit anymore. Everybody else took the seats. So he said, why not? The robot is good. And that was the worst they've done to this robot. So it's been great. And we'll let the video play.
Imagine a robot monitoring a public place, business facility, or industrial warehouse. These days, the leader in global security solutions, S&P Robotics, unveils a solution with numerous advances for their existing and new clients. S&P Robotics robots. Working in a group, robots coordinate perimeter, exchange data, and visual patterns. They are designed to work in extreme weather conditions and on any terrain, from sand to snow. The robots are compatible with all major security systems, like visual management systems, alarm systems, messengers, and voice. They are fully autonomous, AI-powered, advanced proactive surveillance systems that come with a fully autonomous charging station. S&P Robotics is the future of global protection and safety.
So I'll give you a little bit of the success that we have had with these robots. It's been, like I said, accepted during the day when the students are there, but we've also had a lot of success in deterring after-hour visitors. Previously, Mr. Jean just walked out, but when he finished that great plaza, we had people who wanted, or some adults, coming in and wanting to ride around on their bikes or even vehicles in that area, causing possible damage. We've had about 3 incidences where we've had people after hours at night come on board. They look at the robot starts taking pictures of them, starts flashing lights and so forth. They don't know the extent of its ability, so they rather leave. So we get them to leave and they don't cause any damage to our school. Since the last incident was about 2-3 months ago, I haven't had anybody back at that school after hours. You'll see the robot running around on campus in the evening hours by itself. It doesn't complain, so that's the greatest thing about it. Next one.
Imagine a robot,
Okay, well, she sends me a request for this. Let me do that real quick. This is a really great new product that we have coming forward. And I'll let it refresh for me so we can get there. All right. This one's actually for Mark. I apologize. We have been making some improvements regarding our security, our alarm systems at our schools, our gyms, so forth. So I'll let Mark talk a little bit about that there.
All right, we're missing a picture, but Maggie will bring it up for me here in a second. So what we do when you come in, I don't know if you see this at ESC, when you walk into the front, as soon as you walk in, it's right over there to your left. Usually when we come in, we hand out alarm codes to employees to be able to come in and put in the alarm system. What we're trying to do is get away from alarm codes. Alarm codes can be shared, given to other people. People can look over people's shoulders and see them. So another way to keep things safe is we're basically going to use your proxy card, your ID card as you come in. You have to scan. If you're allowed to come into the building, you're going to be allowed to arm and disarm the alarm. If you scan your scan card or your access control on the building and you're not allowed in, it's not going to give you the opportunity to work with the alarm system itself. This way, it's making things a little bit more efficient for the staff, a little more safer for everyone. And also, every time someone scans it, we're able to see who did it, when they did it, where they did it. So there's a lot of information in there for us. Go ahead. Next thing we're doing is Motorola IP Site Connect. It's a radio system. We basically built a radio communication in the district for the district. You're still able to use UHF, VHF, and then we're able to use basically the internet over Wi-Fi. It's called IP Site Connect. We're able to basically Communicate from one school to another. If you're in El Dorado to Tesuque to Capitol High to Santa Fe High on different channels. And then that way, if something would happen, the first thing that's probably going to do, if we think about maybe an incident or something bad happened at Santa Fe High, everyone's going to pull out their cell phones and that cell tower is probably going to get overwhelmed. This gives us the ability to still communicate with handheld radios, still communicate with law enforcement, and be able to communicate with each other. Here's a short video on it.
Mototurbo IP Site Connect uses the power of internet to connect radio users across dispersed locations. It can connect up to 15 single sites to form a wide area network. Radio users can roam freely from one site to another in an extended coverage area. This system enables radios of different bands such as UHF, VHF, and 800 MHz to communicate seamlessly. High-rise buildings may pose a problem for radio signal. For example, the multi-story basement and concrete beams in a building may prevent radio signal transmission. Mototurbo IP Site Connect unifies radio users across buildings and boundaries, overcoming physical barriers to enhance better transmission and keep your workforce connected. This system meets the communication needs of manufacturing, oil and gas, utilities, and transportation by making it easier for the dispersed workforce to stay in touch.
So additionally to that, our facilities we're going to be rolling that out next week. We have radios for our facilities. So if you think about snow removal, they're probably on their cell phones trying to talk, trying to get a hold of each other. This way, they're going to be able to have their own radio, their own communication. They're not going to have to be able to use cell phones, dock them inside the vehicle, which makes it safe, but then they're going to be able to hear what's going on just in case something does happen. So it's going to open up that communication. Now, we're not saying that it's going to be perfect when it comes to coverage areas. We do have 3 repeaters that are ordered on hand, and they're basically going to be our pilot program or our guinea pigs. As they go around, they're going to let us know maybe some dead spots, and we'll continue to reevaluate that. We'll continue to fine-tune our repeaters until we get absolute complete coverage throughout the district. Go ahead.
Talk about that.
All right. The next thing we're talking about is AI phones. So when you walk up to a school, you're going to have the ability of using technology of basically an intercom with access control. So if a school wants to close its doors, but still have people feel welcome and still be able to vet them before they come in, all they have to do is walk up to the AI phone, wave their hand in front of it or press the button. They're going to be able to, over video and audio, be able to talk to the secretary or staff member and be like, hi, I'm here to pick up my child, the dentist appointment, well, come on in. With the AI phone, they're able to, the secretary or staff member is able to press a simple button on the phone, which will then unlock and open the door. That way the school is still safe. We still enforce our single point of entry. We're able to communicate with visitors and family members, and we're still able to give them the service. Here's another small video on that.
The staff and community. As the community approaches the front entry doors of the school, they will follow the signage directing them to the video intercom, either on the wall or next to the door. The community may either use the touches feature and wave their hand a short distance from the video intercom or press the button. After this motion, a call is sent to the master station for entry. If entry is approved, the front entry door will unlock and open for access. For the staff from the master station, when the community approaches for access, the phone will ring and the video will instantly pop up. For two-way communication, you will press the green talk button on the upper right side of the display. At this point, a call will occur to verify access. Verified, simply press the key button on the screen in the middle left side of this display. The door will unlock automatically and open for entry. Now let's go over the other simple buttons on the display.
That's good.
Right side, the first button displays
So these are being installed not just at the schools, but at the administrative buildings also. Go ahead, next slide.
If I could just add on that slide, these
Yes, sir.
images are from AI phones.
Yes, and thank you, Superintendent Chavez. The one on the left is actually a pedestal also. I don't know if you see the AI phone on there. It's a stainless steel pedestal there. Some schools, we have to watch for the ADA and the entry and exit. So we're putting them in locations where someone can still have a conversation with a staff member and not interrupt anybody else and not interfere with ADA or people coming in and out of the school.
Operating the new AI phone.
All right, I can speak about Navigate 360 as I give her permissions here. So if you all remember Sandy Hook Promise, which is something we've talked about a few times, we are 1 out of 3 schools in the entire nation that was chosen to pilot Navigate 360. What Navigate 360 does is it will be a monitoring system, just like Sandy Hook Promise, 24/7, regarding the types of searches or typing the students are doing on their Chromebooks. So if a student types in there a chat to their friend and says, I really bombed that test, the word bomb is going to get captured. It's going to go to the monitoring system and they're going to review it and say, oh, they're just using it as an expression term, right? They really messed up on this test. Now, if the student says, I'm going to bomb the school, that will be captured, that will go, they'll evaluate it and send it out to us, the administrators, the school, or first responders, if it's necessary after hours, to go ahead and look into this. That's a more of a proactive approach to continue monitoring searches that are of concern from our Chromebooks. And it also works when you're at home, as we all know, when you log into your class link, if you haven't logged in, it's still going to be up and running, so it still operates even when you're at the house. So if somebody also has suicidal ideations, those things will be captured, and we'll let the video speak for itself.
World is changing, and administrators must know how to identify harmful acts at digital speed before they negatively impact their staff, their students, or their community. If you could stop someone from doing harm to themselves, to those around them, or to your district, wouldn't you? But how do you know what is harmful? How can you protect your schools in an increasingly digital world? How can you keep up? Navigate 360's threat detection and prevention solutions provide schools with the technology you need to take a proactive approach to keeping staff and students safe while building trust and respect within the community. We help you protect what's important, even in a digital world that allows individuals to share any information at any time. The AI language engine built inside of our social media and email technology scans billions of digital conversations in near real time, decoding intent and measuring sentiment to uncover harmful language across and about your schools. We help you find the needle in the digital haystack and alert you only when action is needed. Our anonymous tip reporting platform provides an uncomplicated way for your staff and students to share what they know with just a few clicks. Empower individuals to help you keep everyone in your school safe, all while knowing there is someone on the other end willing to help. Sometimes prevention requires action. Our Behavior Threat Assessment Manager helps you manage student cases and support a successful threat assessment team to address issues of concern with speed, efficiency, and compassion before they escalate. Navigate 360's threat detection and prevention solutions help you stay ahead of concerning behaviors so you can protect your students, your staff, and your community. Prepare your staff and students to share what they know safely and anonymously, and set everyone up for success with a behavioral threat assessment team and case management program that are ready to address threats and harm before they escalate. We are Navigate 360, providing you with the solutions you need to prevent the preventable.
So thanks to technology, we are continuously getting this on board. We had a meeting this week, one last week, so we're getting closer to getting this on board.
World is changing.
So we hopefully have it deployed here soon. Next one, please. In Mutual Links 360, which I'll talk a little bit about it. Last time we met, the question was very direct, asking me if law enforcement had the ability to view our camera systems during an emergency. Thanks to the state, we can't forget about them. All right, they did provide us some funding, approximately $630,000 to start this Mutual Link 360 which will satisfy some of the curiosity and questions about law enforcement and first responders having the ability to communicate with us and watch live video. And I'll let the video, the little video speak for itself.
Mutual Link is the world's leader in automated emergency response solutions, technology that helps save lives in a public emergency. Our technology enables swift emergency response from multiple agencies through instantaneous automated connection, communication, and coordination of all responders, saving minutes when every second counts. Watch Mutual Link's Link 360 in action. The push of your panic button initiates an emergency notification.
Police dispatch, what's your emergency?
We have an unidentified person in our hallway. Mutual Link is the only solution of its kind that integrates seamlessly with existing security solutions. Any panic button can initiate an emergency response. Here's what happens next. Activating the panic button sets a powerful chain of events in motion, speeding emergency response because remember, the 911 dispatcher, as well as first responders that have been invited into the incident, can actually see and hear what is transpiring in real time. As soon as a panic button is pressed, a secure incident is instantly activated through Mutual Link's cutting-edge technology.
Great for Waterloo PD, we have an intruder in the building.
Description?
Approximately 5'7", 5'8", 162 pounds, bald head, wearing a blue shirt.
Copy. Any weapons involved?
None seen on him at this time.
Once the incident is accepted by one or more of the local responding agencies, a coordinated response begins. This all happens in a matter of seconds after the panic button is pushed. Mutual Link's Link 360 allows all first responders to share radio, voice, and floor plan video to assess and resolve incidents like this.
Okay. So one item that I really appreciate of this particular product is that dispatch police cannot just activate it on their own. They have to receive permission from us to be able to look into our schools. I've had kids, I told them to behave, they misbehave. That's what happens with kids. I'm not interested in any law enforcement fishing for bad conduct or whatnot out there. That's part of their education and learning how to be members of our society. So we have our own processes in place to improve conduct if that's the case. And we will share this technology with them when we need them for emergency purposes. Next, please. Bear with us, we're almost there. Just a few more slides, 110 more to go, but we'll be done. Okay. We'll let Mark talk about the Knox boxes.
Stay in your seats for this one. This is Knox box. This stuff's exciting. All right, so Knox boxes. Here's another one that we're going to be able to work with. This is really to team up with the fire department. The fire department wants to come to the schools. We had a couple incidences. Decided to go through the district, reevaluate every school. Some of the Knox boxes are outdated. Some of the keys don't work, things like that. This really enables first responders to have access to the schools without causing damage or doing anything. This is a district-wide project. I'd say we're just about halfway with it. The schools that need it will have it. Some of the Knox boxes are actually getting wired into the fire alarm systems, and what happens there is if there's a tampering with it, an alarm goes off and it sends it through the fire panel itself. And it's a really good thing. I think that the district really needed to work with the fire department on this.
So we keep talking about the reason why we are here, and those are our kids. So we can't forget about them being part of our partnership here. So again, with the team, we got together and we started this program called the Student Safety Ambassadors. We were already talking to Mr. Lopez from Gonzales and other schools that they were already using students to help take younger students to classes or help out with the principal's office and so forth. So we said, well, let's give them the appearance that they are in charge, they have some control, they have some power there, and give them their vest. So we started the Safety Ambassador Program and partnered up with Mrs. Cristo Ibarra to, at the end of the year, recognize them for their efforts. And we provided these little vests for them. Again, here's our fabulous little image of our safety aide walking a couple of kids that we put on the vest in the backside against Santa Fe Public School students, safety ambassador. And of course, we put very strict rules. We're not asking our safety ambassadors to go outside and direct traffic. That's not what they're there for. They're there to help us out with little tasks that are not dangerous, and they can be more and bigger parts of our schools. And almost the last slide here, we do have some funding that came to us from the state HB 505 Distribution Funds Award. We did receive approximately $503,000. This is going to help us for some of the schools that we haven't been negligent of them. We just haven't had the issues or concerns at the particular schools to upgrade their system the way we wanted to. With this funding, we're going to be able to address Piñon, Kearney, Aspen, have those repeaters like we spoke about for the radios. So thanks to the state again to give us the opportunity to move forward with some of the projects that we were piecemealing into place, and also being able to order the Stop the Bleed kits that are going to go on our buses that our bus drivers wanted. In future plans, we always ask that, where are we going next? What's in the horizon? Well, we're still going to keep looking. We're still going to keep exploring new technology, new ideas. We're going to continue to address challenges. As I've said before, I don't look for solutions to my problems. I find solutions to our problems, right? I kind of find, if I would just look for those problems that I know how to fix, well, I'm only that good with my team. We try to find those problems and find that solution to fix that problem. And we'll also look to you and ask you and the Superintendent Chavez, where would you like us to go next? What would you like us to explore next? And we'll be happy to look at it, vet it, and come back and let Superintendent Chavez know it makes sense, it doesn't make sense. We'll give you our expert opinion on it, but we're here to serve our students, our staff. And before I open it up for questions, I can't stop saying thank you to the Board of Education, Athletics, ESC, BF Young Facilities, Human Resource, parents, guardians, principals, teachers, student data, student nutrition, student wellness, technology, and so forth, because everybody basically adopted this motto of ours, which is safety is a shared responsibility, and we appreciate you all. And click it one more time, and we stand for any questions, comments, or concerns you may have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Other members of the board? Yes, Board Member Noble.
Thank you so much. It's been too long. I think the last time we did this, we did it as a study session even. And maybe it was post Sandy Hook. And there was a lot of focus on this. And honestly, it's sort of wonderful when we don't have the urgency to talk about it and can just get an update like this. So a huge thank you to you both and to your teams. This is just really wonderful, and there's so much in here. It really made sense as a study session, I realize. But I appreciate seeing how the department's evolved. It is fairly encapsulated in the motto, and I think it's just evident how sort of well built out it is, that you're listening deeply to the schools, to the students, to principals, to the community as to what's needed. I appreciate that probably more than anything, that we have integrated safety aids into the community, that we now have these folks as employees and are sort of fostering that shared responsibility, that community, that mentorship, I believe you said. Stop the Bleed, those are like trauma kits, if I recall.
Board President, Superintendent Chavez, Board members, yes, that's correct. That's for major gaping wounds and so forth, not a small little Band-Aid.
And again, I don't really have much to say except thank you. I'm really happy for the update. I'm really happy we haven't had the reason to talk about this more. I feel like tonight's board meeting and board agenda is a little bit of a good picture of all the things, or the diversity of issues that the district has to attend to. And this is the foundational one. We have to have safe schools. We have to keep our students and our staff safe. And we have to keep doing it because we know what the world's like. I really also appreciate the attention to lots of the key details that, law enforcement doesn't have access to the cameras all the time, that there's that safety thing, and that there is an effort to keep it kind, gentle, and human, to not harden targets, as we've heard said about schools sometimes, that, we just need to make schools, defensible army positions. Well, obviously we need to do a lot, but to keep the humanity in it, and to use the technology well, this to me is an initial example of how AI can help in lots of ways, and make work easier and better, and leave the humans to do the human things, and use the machines to do some of the machines things. So really just very appreciative of this work, and that we keep doing it because we need to, and it's foundational. And thank you for everything you do to keep the Santa Fe Public Schools safe.
Thank you.
Everything that Board Member Noble said. Thank you. I really appreciated hearing about learning lessons from other areas to another. I remember the incident you were referring to last year with a school having to be evacuated that wasn't ours, and the fact that you reached out, found out the lessons they learned there and then said, well, we should do the same thing here. So it's just, this was really informative. And again, thank you for all the work you do. And it was very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Echoing what my colleagues have said, you all do such a fantastic job. I'm just continually impressed by the work that you do. And I think that what it really comes down to is that the driver behind safety and security at Santa Fe Public Schools is education. We're an educational institution. We take care of students. We care about the students, and that's what I see you all doing. We hear a lot about like the school to prison pipeline, or like you said, hardening targets, and that's not what we're doing. You all are taking care of our students, and part of that is, just like parents do with their children. Part of our job as parents is to make sure our kids are safe and secure. And as a parent, I feel much better sending my kids to school knowing that there are people at the district who similarly care about their safety and security. And I hope that and I know other parents feel the same way. And I think the last time we were here, it was after Uvalde, and there were parents in the audience, and we had been getting a lot of emails. And like Board Member Noble said, it is great to be sitting here not in the shadow of a tremendous tragedy, but to be kind of looking forward rather than looking backward. I had a question, and this might be for the superintendent, about kind of what our state funding looks like in terms of safety and security, and particularly for the safety aids, because I feel like it would be really, and we talked about this last time too, that it would be really great to have safety aids at elementary schools, but it's a very significant cost and not something we can easily absorb into the budget right now. So I don't know what state funding looks like, if that's like a potential that we could see in the future.
Yeah, that's a good question, Board President Anderson. I know right now one of the hot topics during the legislative session is school security.
Mhm.
So I think this fits in perfectly, and I hope our media partners reprint it, because I think our legislators need to hear that.
Yeah.
Because we could still continue to update, increase. What we did when we converted over from the contract to employees as far as the safety aids, we took what the contract was worth. Mr. Salvidras and his department analyzed it with our business services department and our CFO, Mr. Martinez, and we saw that it was a wash.
Mhm.
So what we're paying in a contract, we could pay our employees more, provide them benefits, provide them, retirement options, and again, they're part of the community. A lot of them are retired police officers and other individuals who want to come. The one thing that I've noticed since the conversion, the retention rate is so much higher than when we had the contract. When we had the contract, we could not fill positions. And this shows that we did the right thing with your guys' support. And, I'm very grateful for Mr. Salvidres' department bringing that forward and you guys approving it, because it's made a world of a difference.
Good. God, that's great to hear. And yes, programs like this should be the model for the state, and hopefully the state understands that and learns to invest in programs like ours. Let's see. The other question I had is actually sort of pertinent to something that did happen recently. So I just wondered, how do we communicate with parents and guardians about things like if there's a lockdown, if there's, like we had that incident at, I think it was at Capitol years ago, where there might be a threat, and maybe it's credible, maybe it's not. What kind of decision-making tools do you use to decide that? And I know that there's probably tactical reason that a lot goes into that decision. So I'm just wondering kind of how that works.
President Anderson, Superintendent Chavez, board members, I'll touch a little bit about it, but I think Superintendent Chavez is really apprised in this. We do have a PIO, Mr. Cody Denarzik, who actually we utilize to send out this messaging. They use Remind. We have to consider a lot of things, and that is when we're working with law enforcement, what is the threat? What are they doing with that potential threat? What information they have, and what information are they willing for us to put out to the general public to avoid jeopardizing the integrity of what they're trying to accomplish. So sometimes it may sound a little bit vague, what we're sending out, but it's intentional. But our intentions on the ground are wholeheartedly good intentions. Myself and my staff actually go to the school and embed ourselves in the middle of that school, in the middle of the chaos or the concern, to show that we're there. It's not, again, it's about us. So we use Remind primarily to communicate this out. And Superintendent Chavez, if there's anything else.
Yeah, and social media, our media partners also reach out during these crises, and we help provide them information that they can share with our community. So we use a lot of different methods. We always get phone calls here in the building, so we make sure they have the information, because we want to make sure we're answering questions and sharing the information that we can share at that time.
Okay, I think, yeah. Oh, sorry, you go ahead. Thanks.
If I may, I remembered questions because I'm tired, I think. When we have a lockdown, I believe we had one this week. I think that was this week. Well, let me put it differently. Do we have any training for staff for something like that? Just because having experienced a couple of those as a parent and then debriefing with my child, honestly, sometimes the adults panicking is the worst part. So what do we do about training people who very naturally get scared and, can then obviously scare kids or do things like that? And I know that's kind of a how long is a piece of string question because people's reactions are uncontrollable, but I'm wondering what we do to prepare them.
Board President Anderson, Superintendent Chavez, Board Member Noble, we do have training. So when I first came to the district, we created a video, an in-house video, on what is all the different steps, shelters in place, evacuations, fires, lockdowns. And we used our own students. Our kids were in it, just so we can talk about it. And we continuously share that video out to our staff, our principals at the beginning of every school year. We also share with them how to respond to an active shooter, which we partnered up with Santa Fe Police Department, who we recorded their training and share that as well. We also have emergency flip charts in the classroom that are basically what I refer to as go-by. So that's my previous profession. That's what we refer to them as, something that we follow how to go by to deal with a drill or an incident, right? And then we obviously have the state requirements of all of our drills, which is the time that I tell our staff is when you should make the mistakes. You want to make as many mistakes as you can during this time so that you can figure out how I can do it better if it ever comes the time that I need to actually take this, what I'm learning now, and put into practice. So we have shelters in place, lockdowns, fire drills, reverse fire drills, etc. And if you have questions, I'll always open the door to say, reach out to me. If the principal does not have the answer to the question, I'm happy to go out with my staff to the member and educate them and walk them through what they should do. I get that from the principal. I hope she doesn't mind, but the principal from Cesar Chavez asked me, because she's fairly new, how should I handle a lockdown during passing periods in her case when the kids were out at recess or at lunch? What should I do with the students? And we had a conversation. And I said, I don't want you to scare the students. I want you, when you do your lockdown and there's kids in the playground, have that teacher, let them know ahead of time this is going to happen. Have the teacher gather the kids together and have a conversation. What should we do? Where should we go if we can't go back into the school? And just have that, age-appropriate discussion with these kids. That's where they need to learn.
You led me perfectly to my next question, which is, I believe we talked about this last time, but can you say a little bit about age-appropriate drills? Because the drills themselves, especially for little kids, can be scary.
Absolutely. Board President Anderson, Superintendent Chavez, Board Member Noble, absolutely. The young lady next to my left here helped me to establish age-appropriate drills and communication. She drafted up a video, a go-by list of conversational topics with their students. We still use that one as well, because I'm not the educator, I'm not the expert in that field. We look towards the experts to help me with that approach, and we've used them. So we do have that as well in place. I also tell our principals that you don't have to keep this secret from your staff and your students. I do want you to keep it secret from the general public. Reason behind it is we don't want somebody within that general public get an earshot that, oh, Cesar Chavez is having a fire drill tomorrow, and at one point or another, all these kids are going to be out there. And if they have bad intents, I don't want to give them that opportunity to do something to our kids. So, but we will let our kids know here. And like my grandson, who's at NIE, he loves fire drills. He thinks they're the coolest things. He comes to the house and tells me all about them because he's not scared about them, because we have the staff talk to him about it and he understands them. So age appropriateness, let's discuss it with the kids beforehand, get them prepared and move forward. And we have a great set of students, older students at our schools, K-8s, who learned the system young. And now out of natural response, I see them many a times helping out the younger kids walk through or work through a fire drill, evacuation, and so forth.
Thank you.
Hope that
very
answered
much.
your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to follow up on that, just a quick comment, which is that I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old who have recently gone through the lockdown drill. I saw it on the calendar, January.
Yes.
And I asked them, what it was like, and neither one of them seemed scared. My kindergartner said, "We're supposed to be quiet, but not everyone is quiet," and rolled her eyes. So I think she might be a good candidate for the safety assistant. But and my 8-year-old told me every step of exactly what happens. The teacher does this, and then does this, and then does this, and then does this. And if we're in the portable, she does this, and then she does this, and then she does this. And didn't seem fazed by it. And I asked her why if she knew why they had the lockdown drills, and she said, yeah, in case a bear comes on campus.
Perfect.
Then she said, or a bad person. So she did know, a little bit about it, but did not seem fazed by it. So I think, normalizing this kind of stuff is really helpful, so that if something were to happen, they're not scared to be over in the corner. They're not scared when the blinds go down. It's just a matter of what happens, and they know to be quiet. And I think it's great. I wanted to throw that out just in case there's a bear on campus.
Awesome.
There was a coyote last year, so.
Right. Awesome.
Are there any other questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you all so much. We really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to our action items. We have the consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull anything out or have any questions about anything on the consent agenda? Yes. Oh, sorry. I'm not looking. I apologize.
Just very quickly, there's a bar for $630,000 for a Stronger Connections grant. Can you say one sentence about what that is? Because that sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what you heard tonight, to improve cameras, panic buttons, intercoms, radios. So again, yep.
Got it.
Everything that we went over.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. Our consent agenda is approved. Now moving on to item B, Resolution 2023-2024, declaring the Santa Fe Public Schools Board commitment to a Renaissance and Reimagined Bilingual Education Program. All right.
Yeah, I
Superintendent,
think we're
or-
going to tag team, but
Okay,
I'm going
perfect.
to hand it over to Board Member Noble to start us off.
Thank you very much. I think we've talked about this a decent amount. Appreciate the bilingual team being here. But just to say, Dr. Veronica Garcia, who is, of course, our strategist on reimagining, couldn't be here tonight. I know this is very close to her heart, and really a wonderful piece of the reimagining effort. We know from our presentation at our last meeting that bilingual education makes brains better. And this really does feel like a natural one for Santa Fe to really continue to magnify what is already, as one of our public comment folks said, a core of professionals that do incredible work on this, that builds upon our multiculturalism, that allows for a better future, better relationships in our community. There's so much that's good here. I won't bother to read it. It's spelled out in the resolution. And I would say somewhat informally that the action here is for the superintendent, and I would just hope that we can continue to celebrate this, be updated, and I hope that we, as the collectively big Santa Fe Public Schools and even the community, can really get behind this Renaissance and Reimagined Bilingual Education Program.
Excellent. This is, does anyone else have any comments?
I was going to go ahead and move approval.
Okay, go for it.
I'm moving approval.
Excellent.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Wonderful. I am so excited about this resolution. Okay, moving on to board discussion and possible action. Had a very quick consultation with the superintendent. I think given the fact that the full board is not here, and also given the time, I know that staff has done a lot of work and the CRC has done a lot of work, and we are overdue for a conversation on CAPTCHA. I think that 2 weeks time will be okay for us to all be here as a group and discuss it, and also get, I think, in particular, Board Member Bose's input into this, having been on the CRC for so long and knowing so much about this project. So I would ask, and I don't know if we need to have a motion, but I think it's best if we wait 2 weeks to talk about CAPTCHA and to take potential action on CAPTCHA. Is there any discussion about that? Okay, do we need to have a motion, or we just think so? We can just pass by it. Okay, that was our discussion. Okay, great. And so next we have item B, support for local solar access fund, HB 108. Board Member Noble, did you want to speak a little about this?
Sure, I am happy to speak to this, and Alicia Shaw, who has been working on this bill, has come in case we have any particular questions would be the word. Ultimately, this is a bill that would create a local solar access fund. It would put some of the funding that we have this year into a fund that would allow local agencies to solarize, and a couple of our wonderful Santa Fe delegation, Rena Shapansky and Representative Rena Shapansky and Senator Nancy Rodriguez, are sponsors, as well as a couple other folks. And some of the, we are fortunate in the Santa Fe Public Schools to be bigger and have some bonding capacity and that sort of thing. This might benefit us. It would almost certainly benefit smaller districts as well. And ultimately, not only is this important for the environment, but it is important for resilience in the face of all the things that may come in having that locally generated energy. So with that, I will pause, see if there's any discussion, and if there are any questions. I'm sure Ms. Shaw would be happy to come to the podium.
I have a comment for President Anderson. Yeah, I have a comment on this. This is a great bill. I hope it continues to move along. If you remember, Milagro Middle School has a couple of carports that are for solar energy. And if I remember correctly, their energy is 75% green, and it's generated through solar panels and different things. We continue to add solar panels across the entire district. Santa Fe High, Capitol. I think Aspen is now getting a carport for solar energy. So this is something that's dear to Santa Fe Public Schools and something that I would be proud to support if I need to be there physically.
I would also add that as the folks behind this have been working to garner support for this bill, having support from a large district seemed important, and hence the request for us to consider this as the Santa Fe Public Schools.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. We appreciate it. And Ms. Shaw as well.
Yeah, I think I want to make a motion that we support the local solar access fund bill, House Bill 108.
Second. Oh,
Go for
sorry.
it. No. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Let's move to advanced planning. And I know we have a couple of things to cover on advanced planning, possibly to switch around. So obviously we have our meeting of the superintendent's evaluation on Saturday, which I'm looking forward to at 10 a.m. here. Then we'll have our regular meeting on the 8th. The audit committee will meet on the 15th. Then the question comes, on the 15th, our tentative study session we were discussing on family engagement and partnerships. I think that ideally would be moved to the 13th. Is that correct?
I would like to propose a change from the 15th to the 13th if it fits with everybody's schedule. And the topic could change. It all depends if the state releases data.
Oh, data
on schools.
before. Yeah.
So I think the topic can, kind of be a little fluid as we start to near that date. But I would propose, because I do have to leave to a conference on that exact day, February 15th. As I'll be presenting with another staff member in San Diego. So if we could, I would love to be part of the study session and ask to move it.
Okay, great. It works for me. Does it work for other folks? Okay, excellent. So let's plan on moving the 2:15 study session to 2:13, either about family engagement or about student data. And then was I understanding that if we don't cover student data, we'll hopefully be able to cover it at the next meeting on the 22nd?
You're correct. We're just waiting for the state to lift the embargo on the information.
Okay, great. And then are there any other questions? Was there a question about March 21st needing to move that to March 7th, or did I make that up?
I don't remember that, but as we get into February, we can discuss that
We
date.
can talk about that moving forward. Okay. Sorry, it's my first time doing advanced planning. I'm just trying to cover all the bases. Okay, so our only change is to move the 15th to the 13th. And we'll make sure and let Dr. Gonzalez and Board Member Bose know if they're not listening in right now. Hopefully they're resting up. All right, is there anything else on advanced planning? Okay, I'm going to then adjourn the meeting.